As part of our lecture series for third quarter, we shall be having the lecture for today titled Fire Safety, Protection and Emergency Procedure. And to do justice to the topic this morning, we have the appropriate authority in our midst. Our guest of honor, Chief Fireman Superintendent Awoyemi Oluwaseyi and his entourage are here this morning. And with a round of applause, can you join me as we invite him to the podium to do justice to the lecture?
I bring greetings to you on behalf of my chairman, the person of Dr. Malik. And I also bring greetings to you on behalf of the General Manager, Venerable Adeyemi Kenga. My own name is Awoyemi Oluwaseyi, the Zonal Commander of Ogbomoso Fire Station. It's a privilege to be here this morning, and I do not take it for granted. I greet the Group Commander. I'm not taking this opportunity for granted. So we are discussing fire this morning, and why do we need to know more about fire? They sent a paper to me, so I want to be following this. So why do we need to know about fire? God knew that we cannot survive before He created us. That is why He created something that was comfortable for us first. Fire is the first God created. How? I know the Holy Book, the Bible and the Quran, they say something about it. So we are going to be discussing fire in another perspective. So permit me to quote this. Genesis 1:3. It says, "And God said, let there be light. And behold, there was light, and the light was good." Light, excessive light brings out heat. Excessive heat brings out fire. There cannot be fire without heat, and there cannot be fire without light. That is why we say, okay, can we say fire is a living thing? Can we say fire is a human being? No, fire is not a human being, but fire is God's creation, and fire is we can say fire is a living thing. How? Characteristics of a living thing. That is Mr. Niger. Movement is part of it. Respiration is part of it. Nutrition, irritability, and so on and so forth. Fire possesses all those characteristics. Fire can move. The Yoruba people says, "Tíná bá ń jó lóko, ìmọ̀-ìjàlá ló máa ń délé lọ́rùn." Fire can move in miles, within miles. Last year, to be precise, about 6 months, there was a fire breaking, I think in California, for almost 6 months. And that is why bushfire is one of the fire that is very difficult to curtail. Fire can travel within miles. So now, fire can move, fire can reproduce. Fire can reproduce if there is something to eat. Fire can reproduce. Fire does not satisfy unless there is nothing to feed on. Fire is God's creation. We cannot live comfortably in this life without fire. Now, the more affluent a person is, then the more the person surrounds himself with everything that can bring out fire. How? A person that is wealthy will have AC, air conditioner in his own house, and when you use air conditioner for a certain period of time, it brings out heat, and if care is not taken, it will bring out fire. When I'm talking about fire, I'm also referring to combustion. That is why we need to understand it very well, because fire is something we cannot do without. It's something we need day in, day out. What are the things that makes us comfortable in this life? What are the social amenities we need? We need handsets. All of us are using handsets. We are using fire in another form, because we are talking about energy. And when we are talking about energy, we must talk about conversion of energy from one form to another. So when you are using, whether you are using phone, whether you are using fan, whether you are using air conditioner, our vehicle, anything, then we are making use of energy in different forms. So if care is not taken, then it means if we don't manage it well, then that means that thing can bring out fire. And then the question comes, is fire our friend or our enemy? I know we are just trying to do kind of remember, we want to remind ourselves, so I don't need to ask questions because of our time, because I understand we have just 1 hour. Now, fire is our friend. At the same time, fire is our enemy. How? Fire is our friend if we manage it well. If we manage it properly, fire is our friend. At the same time, fire is our enemy if we don't manage it well. So that is why we need to understand basics about fire. So nearly all what we do can bring out fire. I hope you know that. So now, we've talked about energy conversion, which refers to the process of transforming energy from one form to another, such as heat, chemical energy, electrical motion, or light energy, and so on and so forth. That is why we need to know about the 4 forms of energy, which is kinetic, potential, thermal energy, and electrical energy. So now, fire. How then do we define fire? Before we be able to know more about fire, we need to be able to define fire. To a layman, fire is just a process of burning. Fine, to a layman. But to our level, to your level, it is indeed more than that. Before you be able to study fire, you must be able to define fire as the rapid combination between 2 or more combustibles, underline, between 2 or more combustible materials with the evolution of heat and light, underline, in the presence of oxygen. So all those things, if we can underline it, we must be able to know 1 or 2 things about those things. Then we'll be able to tackle the fire. Note, not all fires are alike. What I'm saying is, the kind of fire that will come out from your own house, from the house of Mr. A, differs from the kind of fire that will come out from the house of Mr. B. In other words, the kind of fire that will come out from the shop of a person that is selling plastics differs from the type of fire that will come out from the house of a person or the shop of a person that is selling wood, and so on and so forth. That is why we have different classes of fire. Now, before we be able to know more about fire, we must understand that not all fires are alike. So now, fire can also be defined as a chemical reaction known as combustion as a result of rapid oxidation of combustible materials, accompanied by a release of energy in the form of heat and light. Combustibles, what are the combustibles? Let us take your house, your room as a case study. What are the things you have in your room? We have radio, we have television, we have handsets, we have plastic chairs, we have tables, everything. Do you know that everything in that house, in that your room, are combustibles? That means it can be consumed by fire, including the owner of that room. It can be consumed by fire. Then a question comes, is there anything that cannot be consumed by fire? No, there's nothing that cannot be consumed by fire. It only depends on the degree at which substance A can be consumed by fire, differs from the degree at which substance B can be consumed by fire. Then fire prevention can be defined as a branch of science that deals with effective ways and means of minimizing the outbreak of fire. Then we must understand that from the definition of fire, Then we have three key elements. We call it elements of combustion. We have heat, we have oxygen, and we have fuel. Those elements of combustion, the three elements, the three must complete before fire can occur. Then, if we want to combat that fire, if we want to put off that fire, we must try as much as possible to take at least one of that element of combustion. We must be able to take at least one of it. Then, if we are able to do that, then we will be able to put out the fire. So now we have triangle of combustion. That is where the element of combustion is. We have oxygen, we have heat, we have fuel. And oxygen, we can define oxygen as a supporter of combustion. A supporter of combustion. Note, I'm not talking of air. It is not air, it is oxygen. Because we have different types of air. As we have oxygen, we also have carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is not a supporter of combustion. As we have oxygen that is a supporter of combustion, we also have carbon dioxide that we can use to put off the fire. That is when we are talking about different types of extinguishers. So we also have fuel, which are elements that can be found everywhere. I said, whatever we have in our room, even as we sit here, everything we have can be consumed by fire. Fuel can exist in three states of matter. Fuel can exist in form of solid. Fuel can exist in form of solid. Fuel can exist in form of solid, in form of liquid, and in form of gases. Fuel existing in form of solid is something like this, something you can hold on to. Chair, that is fuel existing in form of solid. Fuel existing in form of gases is what we have LPG, that is liquefied petroleum gas. That is the type of gas we put in our cylinder. Then fuel existing in form of liquid is our petroleum. That is fuel. Then we have heat, which is defined as the attainment and maintenance of certain minimum degree of temperature. Now, I said everything can be consumed by fire. What are the things that we are talking about that can be consumed by fire? Cement, you can say stone, you can think of anything that you think are unimaginable. I hope no one will say air cannot be consumed by fire because it's a supporter of combustion. I hope we know that. So when we are talking of cement now, or let's take limestone as an example. Cement will be consumed by fire when it is subjected to temperature around 800 degrees centigrade or more. Now, when I'm talking about consumption by fire, any materials that can change states from one form to another has been consumed by fire. I hope we know that. And when the fire or the heat continues, then it evaporates. That is when we are talking of water. Water will be consumed by fire if it is subjected to temperature around 100 degrees centigrade or more. And we have glass, which fractures at temperature over 100 degrees centigrade. We also have steel, and so on and so forth. Steel loses strength at temperature of 600 degrees centigrade. We have aluminium and alloy, which will be consumed by fire when it is subjected to temperature above 100 degrees centigrade. Now, let us now talk about method of extinction. When we are talking of method of extinction now, we have talked about element of combustion, which is in form of triangle. We also have element of extinction, which is in form of triangle too. When we are talking about cooling, what we need to handle that aspect is by supplying water, by making use of water. That is why when cooling is involved. So when we are talking of heat, we can use water. That is cooling process. Then when we are talking of heat of oxygen, we are talking of smoothing. That is sorry to use to speak Yoruba. When someone is being strangled, that is when we are talking of smoothing. Then when we are talking of fuel, we are talking of starvation. Let me use this illustration. in those days according to what we had. They said there's nothing like matches. But when our mamas, our elderly, our grandmas, when they want to bring out it, they will put two stones and scratch it together. It will come and they will put the kind of maybe dry leaf. They bring it there. When they scratch it together, that is heat. They have been able to supply heat. Then, when they now bring dry leaf and put it there, they are giving it a kind of fuel. Then it will start coming out. If it did not come out properly, they will not supply air. Or they use something like paper or anything to fan it. They are supplying it oxygen, then the fire will come out. And when our mamas, when they want to cook, they bring out wood, they bring out something they will use to fan it, and they will bring the whatever, maybe the whatever that will bring it, they will use our stone, two stones, they will hit it together and fire will come out. And when they want to put off the fire, the first step is to use water. That is, they are supplying cooling. So after that, we still see smoke. When we see smoke, then what do? They will now put something to cover it. That is smothering. They are not allowing air to enter. Then after that, what will they do? When they try to supply, to put water to cool it down, there will be smoke, then they will now use something to cover it. That is when they are trying to smother it. And when that thing did not stop, starvation, they will now remove the log, the wood, one by one. They will allow it to contact each other, to come in contact with each other. And that is the process of putting off air, and to put off the fire. So now, types and classification of fires. We said we have different types of fire. We have class A, class B, class C, class D. Now, class E, class F, class E, class G. But now, we've been able to limit it to class A, B, C, Z. Why? I will explain. Now, type A fire are fire involving free burning materials. Free burning materials. What are free burning materials? Plastic chairs, paper, wood, anything that we can use water to put off. The means of extinguishing that type of fire is only water. Please note, we don't use water to put off every type of fire. There are some type of fire that when you put water, you are adding fuel, it will come out. For instance, when there is petroleum fire inside a container, if you put water, what are you doing? You are helping the fire to come out. Then combustion can take place, because water is hard, water will come down, then petrol will come out. So the only thing we use to put off petroleum fire is foam compound. Please note, it is not water and soap. It is not water and soap. It is foam compound. It's a chemical floating substances. Now, the foam, we have stabilizer for it. So to those of us that cultivate the habit of when a vehicle is on fire, they will bring omo, they will bring it, they put it inside water, and they use it to put off the fire. It's not working. The only thing that is working there is water. You are only wasting your omo, because what the foam will do is the foam will be on top of the fuel. So if the foam is on top of the fuel, there is a stabilizer alongside the foam that will not allow the foam to vanish or to diminish. So when we put foam inside petroleum fire, the foam will cover the surface, and when there is no, if it is difficult for air to enter, then fire will not enter. Are you getting it? So anybody that is using omo and water to put up fire is only wasting his omo. The only thing that is working there is only water. So class B fire is fire involving highly flammable substances like petroleum, kerosene, diesel, naphtha, paint, alcohol, and so on and so forth. And what we use to put off that type of fire is smothering process. And that is when we apply foam compound to it. Then class C type of fire is fire that has to do with gases, gaseous substance like LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, ammonite, sodium, sulfur, hydrogen, and so on and so forth. At that particular point in time, if you want to put that fire, you must be able to cut out the source first before you be able to fight that type of fire. Now, explosion does not just occur. Explosion will take minimum of 3 minutes before it can occur. So any fire that started in front of you, in your presence, don't run away and do not panic. You must be able to tackle that fire, provided you have what it takes to tackle such fire. That is why we have small fire getting out of hand. Why? Because when we panic, when we don't know what to do, and for an explosion to occur, it takes minimum of 3 minutes. Except in the case of arson. Arson is deliberate act of putting somebody else's or properties in fire. Why? Because of the ulterior motive. Maybe you have insured your vehicle and you think after 10 years if you are able to put it on fire, you'll be able to claim money from the insurance. Then some people will intentionally put their own vehicle or their own property in fire because of ulterior motive. That one is possible. Then we have talked about class C. Now class D, that is fires involving metals such as aluminum, magnesium, steel, tin, etc. At that point, when there is metal on fire, you don't put water. If you put water, you are endangering your own life. You don't put water on a fire that has to do with aluminum or magnesium, whatever. The only thing you can do at that point in time is to make use of fire or powder, DCP, that is dry chemical powder. And dry chemical powder is a combination of monoammonium sulfate powder. It is poisonous to fire. Then we have class E, fires involving live electrical items. We have cancelled that. Why? Because we are only talking about the source here. Everything that is involved in the fire has to fall under A, B, C, D. Is either the metal, is either the insulator material which falls under A, B, C, D. That is why we no longer emphasize on class E and F. And class F has to do with fires involving cooking fat and oil. Now, functions of the fire prevention officer. What is the function of the fire prevention officers? I hope you know that everyone must be a fire prevention officer, either in your homes, in your offices, or wherever you find yourself. You must be a fire prevention officer. Anywhere you find yourself and you see people that are in distress, people that need help, and you cannot overlook that person, then you must be a fire prevention officer. In your homes, it is difficult for you to see your children under distress, whether maybe fire or something, and you say, okay, I'm less concerned. No, it's not possible. You must be able to rescue your immediate family. You must be able to rescue your wives. You must be able to rescue your children. And women, in the absence of your husband, you are the man in the house. You must be a fire prevention officer. A fire prevention officer is responsible for educating the members of staff by ways of giving lectures on related causes of fire. He's responsible for the survey inspection of all government, blah, 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 to check all buildings plans. Now, there's something we call topography. Topography is knowing the nooks and crannies of your building, whether your house, your homes, your offices. You must be able to close your eyes and move to anywhere. So you can use it as a drill. Even in your offices, you can be using it as like a play in the house. Okay, at night, when the Yoruba people say, ilẹ̀ tí ò bá tójú èèyàn ṣú, òkùnkùn ẹ̀ ṣòro rìn. In your own house, the law is not applicable as a safety officer. Even during the darkness, you must be able to move around the house. You can use it as a drill, as from today henceforth. Children, let us put off the light. Oh yeah, from here go to mommy school, from here go to the store, from here go to this place. You must be able to close your eyes and go to every nook and cranny. Why? Now, supposing you are sleeping at the middle of the night and you woke up around maybe at the middle of the night, you just wake up and discover everywhere is on fire. You won't be able to see anything. It is your subconscious mind that will move and act. So now, self-rescue procedure. When you wake up at the middle of the night, or even if it's not at the middle of the night, if there is fire break in the room, you won't see anything. What do you do? The first step is to lay flat on the floor, your chest on the ground. Why? The only air that is useful for your existence, the little oxygen that remains in that house, in that room, is found on the floor. The one at the top is poisonous. That's carbon monoxide. If you stand up, you will not be able to hold it, then unconscious. Then we discover that smoke kills faster than fire. Before a person will be consumed by fire, that person will either be unconscious or dead completely. There's nobody that will be alive and fire will burn that person. Iná ò kí ń pààyàn, èéfín ló máa ń pààyàn. Kò sẹ́ni tí ló máa jó láàyè tí ó wà máa wòran. No, it's not possible. Sorry to those of us that does not understand Yoruba. Fire does not kill. It's either ignorance or smoke that kills. So now when you lie flat on the floor, what do? You now begin to move and look for a landmark. Supposing this is where the bed is and there's smoke everywhere, there's fire. What do? That is what, when I'm talking about the topography. Subconsciously, you know this is where the door is, this is where the window is, this is where the door is. When you lie flat, you can still be able to move. Use the back of your palm to move. Why? Because it is sensitive, more sensitive. When there's electric shock, then you'll be able to know and feel it earlier, even before you get there. Not that to buy door the tongue, to buy shock. No. When you feel it, you know. That is why we use the back of our palm to move. Then you crawl until you get to the landmark. When you get the landmark of this place is the wall, then you continue moving around the house, the building, until you get to a particular place where the breeze or the air is different from where you are coming from. And what that one is telling you is that you are closer to the window or you are closer to the door. Then at that particular point in time, you make a move. You forcefully open the door, forcefully open the window, or you make a noise, you shout. From that place, you will see people that will come to your aid. People will come and rescue you. People will hear you. When you are here and you are shouting, it's different from when you are here and you are shouting. So when you are here, you are shouting, people can come to your aid. And that is why we always discourage the use of burglary in buildings. We don't use burglary even in residential building, let alone the private or the public building. Why? Windows are not meant for ventilation alone. Windows are meant for the fire officers to come in, to come out, for safety, for the occupants of the building to be able to come in or come out. That is where you, I'm sure some of you are laughing. Now, in your own house, are you sure you don't have burglary? You know, bad people say, to back over this water, to back on his water, to back on his water. Now, in this part of the world, we have safety of life, we have safety of properties. Which one is important? Then, which one is not important? You said life. Now, let me prove it to you now. After 35 years, you manage to erect, to put a structure, a building. Manage to put up a building, you are staying there with all the things you have worked for. And you are just coming back from work something. You just see everything has vanished, has been taken away by fire. Are you saying that person will live long? It is interwoven. Both are important. The safety of life is important, safety of the properties is important. Now, Yoruba people will say, tobacco pe tobacco and only become back. There are some good bars that I can't explain it. It's not you. because that one, I don't know how to translate it in English. Talk about cooking tobacco and only vitamin back. Now, when you want to put up your structure, you call the engineer, tell him this is what I want. I want you to do the burglary in such a way that I will be able to open it when I'm inside. Then somebody from outside will not be able to put it. So when they do it, they will now put a kind of hook. They just put it. You are the only one that knows about it. Nobody knows about it. And maybe your children. Are you getting it? That is how, if it is a must for you. Now, last year or 2 years ago in Mokola in Ibadan, there was a fire incident. The woman, she was on the first floor of the building, and there was fire outbreak. And that woman, what she does is, she has a baby. She puts the baby, she throw it. There was no burglary. She throw the baby outside the window. And people help her. They try to use foam, mattress. The baby was alive, and she jumped out of the window. She was alive, though she was injured, but she's still alive now. And we have seen a situation here in Ogbomoso that the mother and the parents are not at home. The children were watching television in the sitting room, and there was fire outbreak. From the door, they cannot go outside, so they had to run inside to it's a room and parlor apartment. They ran inside. When they got inside, there was supposed to be another door that will lead to the passage. The door has been blocked. Those two children, they lost their lives in the process. So when we emphasize so much on the safety of properties, it is dangerous. Let us balance the two together. Now, fire drill procedure. I hope I'm following the outline you gave me. Let us talk about fire drill procedure now. The first person to discover fire should raise an alarm. That is the first step. You must shout. You don't keep quiet. Odonina, fire is a weakling. Fire is a coward. Odonina, you raise an alarm. Alert everybody. Let everybody know they are saying that. Fire, fire, fire. Everybody must come out. That is the first step. Secondly, evacuation. Evacuate the building through the nearest exit quietly. The last person to leave the building should close all doors and windows. Why? Because when there is supply of air, the fire will continue to grow. The fire will continue to grow. That is why the Mr. Niger comes in that will say fire is a living thing. Everything that has to do with MR, NIGER has to do with fire. Fire can move, fire can respire, reproduction, fire can breathe, fire can irritability, fire has it, growth, and so on. Excretion, fire can excrete, smoke, that is when fire is excreting, and so on and so forth. So the last person must be able to close all doors. When you close doors, when there is fire in the building, when you close doors, what you are simply doing is what you are doing at that particular point in time is you are not allowing the fire to grow. So when that fire continues burning and there's nothing to eat and there's no enabling environment for the fire to grow, the fire will then subside and the fire will be put off. That is evacuation. Then C, the third step, call the fire service. Now, you either call on the fire service or you make use of the extinguishers you have, provided you have the appropriate extinguisher to put off the fire. Now, don't forget, you have different types of fire, you also have different types of extinguishers. What you have in your building or in your shop will depend on the type of extinguishers you put in place. Then when you are installing the extinguisher, make sure you install it properly. You install it in such a way that a short person will be able to have access to it and a tall person will be able to have access to it. I've been into so many places that when they are installing the extinguisher, they'll put it there. They'll put it there. So that somebody will need ladder to bring out the fire extinguisher. They have already defeated the purpose at which the extinguisher is meant for. And I hope you know that we have some building materials now that are fire resistant materials. We have some doors, we have some materials, even ceilings, that are fire resistant. That even when there is fire, when the fire gets to it, it will fight the fire, and the fire will not be able to move any longer. Recently, we've been able to discover that we used to discourage the use of conduit wiring. Why? We discourage it because we discovered that when you use substandard wire, when the type of heat that comes out from those or through those cables need enabling environment, they need cool breeze, they need to expand to contrast at will. So when you are using conduit wiring, now during the heat season, that will reduce the lifespan of the wire. But they've been able to modify it in such a way that that trunk itself has been made in such a way that it is fire resistant. So that one has been, they have negated that line. But the most important thing is, make sure you give your house during wiring, or even during when you are putting up the structure, make sure you give it to competent engineers during the construction of the building. So you either call on the fire service or you fight it with the appropriate firefighting equipment. Then the fourth step is firefighting. Now, I still need to emphasize this. Explosion does not just occur. Before explosion will occur, there must be a rise in temperature. And when there is rise in temperature, for any explosion to occur, it must take at least 3 minutes. And that is why it is in our SOP that fire officers or firefighters must be present in any building on fire within 3 minutes. This is Nigeria. Ogbomoso, we have one fire engine, is at Ogbomoso, and we are covering 5 local governments, and we have some distance that even after 1 hour we are still moving. And they say, okay, you must be there within 3 minutes. So you see that your own safety is in your hands now. If you say, okay, government, there's firefighters in the land, you are deceiving yourself. Our fire engine is old. By the time we start moving, before we get to Turkey, most of the time it will spoil. And the place is gone. What do we do? And if you are not comfortable, you either put up your resignation letter. Our families, there's no other job. What do I do? We continue to manage it. And we continue to tell you that your own safety is in your hands. Now, firefighting. Fight the fire with the appropriate extinguishing medium. Then safety. Do not wait to collect personal belongings so as not to be trapped. You must note that your own safety first. When they are doing fire outbreak, your own safety first. Then roll call. When you take roll call, immediately the fire service come around. The first thing you must be able to tell them is that, okay, we can continue fighting the fire. We are sure no one is in the building. Or if there's anyone in the building, that is the first thing you tell the fire officers. What they will do is, they will start fighting the fire from that room. They will first of all neglect everything that is happening. They will try and rescue the person first before the firefighting begins. That is the importance of coming into a building like this, coming into premises like this. That is the importance of register. Nobody must come into an office like this without having a proper register outside. In case of any emergency, you must be able to know if a person is trapped in the room or not. Then it is better to be safe than sorry. No one should enter into the premises on fire until it is certified safe to do so. The full meaning of fire. F. Feel my presence around you always. I. Inquire to know the risk I can offer. R. Reason and think of the aftermath effect. E. Educate your family to be conscious of it. Thank you. Questions?
This is addition and asking for ours. The suspect is commander. This is SSR and the senior officers present. Officers are marshals. I believe we are enjoying this lecture and we are releasing attentively all the lecture deliver on fire safety protections, emergency procedures.
That's anybody that has questions.
Sir, I don't know if anybody is there that have one or two questions to ask the source person, the area of fire, the word fire, the protections, the emergency procedures, and all the areas the source person and Italian mentioned. Please signify by raising up your hands if you have a question. Any other questions, please? Please ask questions.
Feel free to ask questions, though.
That's what is the privilege, daily activities, our personal life, our homes. And if you encounter fire outbreak in the process of discharging our duties. Okay?
Yes, sir.
The question I want to ask is that, sand, can we use sand only to quench fire? Because I have witnessed something like that before. So I want to ask if it is good to use or not, sir.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Sir.
Yes, sir. My first question was to center on the classification of fire. If you look at the classification of fire from A to B, there are so many ways of putting it on. But sir, which one is the most important to have in our domain? In which, if any of the classification happened, that method can be easily reached. That's the first question. The second one, sir, most of the company or a gathering place, they used to have a point being regarded as a master point. Muster point. What does that mean, and what is the essence of having it? Thank you.
Any other question?
Yes, sir. Because of the you made mention of fire extinguisher, and you did not specify the one that we can put in our building. Maybe the type of fire extinguisher we can put in our building. The offices are shop.
Any other question?
Yes, sir. My question is, I want to ask, how does fire consume water? Because during the course of prevention, I said fire can burn water.
Okay? That will be the last question.
Yes, sir. My question is, I want to know the full meaning of fire, right? And the area of the public, sure, someone wants to have a consult the area. You know, there are some people that people normally do. That even the person that want to do itself, it just the manage. Money to itself, the manage. And you know, to invite engineer, you cannot engineer. And if you engineer to come and be and the people that put it, they know about it. If they still want to use that opportunity to enter the house, it may come. Which other alternative we can use? Thank you, sir.
Good day, sir. Please, during the lecture, you made mention of using Omo as a waste of time, but you did not mention the alternative one that can be used. And if it's available, how can individual have it around so that it can be used?
Okay.
Thank you very much. The first person asked about sand or leaf. That is it appropriate to use sand or leaf? The Yoruba people say tí àbárà dàn, but it is only when you don't have the choice. There's something we call fire pita. I said bushfire is the most difficult type of fire to combat. Why? It can travel within miles. It happened in Australia. There's a particular place they call, it's around Brazil, horizon something. They call it, that place is where we have 60% of oxygen we use in the whole world. That is bush. It's a big bush that cuts across 6 countries. It's a very big bush. Every year, during dry season between February downward, there is always fire out there from that bush. And if at any point in time, if there is fire outbreak in that place, it will cover for more than 6-7 months. About 3 years ago, they had to call emergency on fire services all across the world. 6 countries donated their fire officers and fire engine to combat that fire in that area. Arizona something. Some of you must have read about it. We have helicopters and these are the things we don't even have. Do you know there are some firefighting equipment that fire officers in this country have never set their eyes on it? We just need to hear it and we read about it. We have àwọn irinṣẹ́ panápaná wà táwa gun òrìrí táwọn wà tó exist. So now, the appropriate extinguishing medium. We have fire extinguishers. We have fire extinguishers that expel water. We have fire extinguishers that expel chemical compound. We have fire extinguishers that expel foam compound. We have fire extinguishers that expel powder. That is why we call it CO2 type of fire extinguishers, DCP type of fire extinguishers, foam compound type of fire extinguishers, water CO2 type of fire extinguishers. If you don't have anything, if there is bush fire, we also have fire beater. Fire beater is a kind of, they do it as if there is, how do I explain it? It's flat and long, like something that they use to beat fire. So when you don't have all those things, you can make use of leaf to beat that fire. But when you are making use of leaf to beat fire that has to do with vehicle, you are deceiving yourself, because there are holes, there are spaces inside the vehicle. When you are beating it, you are sending the fire back inside. You are forcing the fire to go into your tank, your fuel tank. Now, when you are making use of sand, where is it burning in the vehicle that you want to make use of sand? Nobody has any excuse not to have fire extinguishers in the vehicle. Nobody have any excuse. Because when you can manage, the smallest vehicle now is Toyota Corolla, about 10 million naira. Now, to now buy a extinguisher of 10,000 naira, to put it there, that you can use for 10 years, is difficult for us in this country. Just fire extinguisher. It became 10,000 maybe in the past 6-7 months. Before it was 1,000 naira. But now it is around 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 naira. Nobody has any excuse. But in case you don't have the choice, you can use sand. But what type of sand? Àwọn yẹ̀pẹ̀ kan wà tó yẹ pé you are just deceiving yourself. Tó kúta Tabati or Jumbe, if there are stones, it will not be effective. There are some sands that are fine material, they are tiny fine materials. They can serve the purpose of powder. Those sands can be effective. But you know the kind of damage that will occur if you use sand to put off fire in your vehicle. You know the kind of damage you can experience. So sand or leaf, yes, if there is no choice. I hope I've answered that. Second question. I hope you are okay with it. Yes. Classification, which fire extinguishers is most important to use? Now, fine, thank you for that question. We have CO2 type of fire extinguishers. We have DCP type of fire extinguishers. Those are the common ones. The CO2, the content inside the CO2 is carbon monoxide gas and carbon dioxide gas. Don't forget, I said, when I was talking about the element of combustion, I made mention of oxygen. I said not air, because not all air supports combustion. There's a particular type of air that we use to fight fire. That is carbon dioxide gas. And there's a particular type of air that is poisonous, that comes out, that is the product of fire. That is carbon monoxide. So now, when the most important one to use, we negate the use of DCP inside the building, inside the house. We no longer use DCP in the house, in the building, in the room. We've advised now, recently, that when you want to install fire extinguishers in your homes, in your rooms, make sure it is CO2. Why? Because the disadvantage of DCP, it has health hazard. Some people that are allergic to dust, when you use DCP, if you use DCP in this room now, it takes a lot of time before you'll be able to clean this room. And some people that are allergic to dust, ammonia, because of the health hazard. That is why we no longer use DCP. But the most important and effective one is DCP. Why? DCP, what it does is it and it smoother the fire, then it put off the fire. That is why in the DCP we see they will write A, B, C, D. What it means is it can be able to fight type A fire, type the class A type of fire, which is full body material. It can be used to fight class B type of fire, which is highly flammable materials. It can be used to fight class C type of fire, which is fire involving gaseous substances. It can be used to fight type D fire, which has to be fire with metals. DCP is more effective. That is why we say DCP is better to be used, is more effective. Not appropriate, but is more effective than any type of fire. So if you don't have money at all, you must have DCP. But it is good to use DCP in outdoor fire. If you use CO2 in outdoor fire, that it will not be that effective, because during the breeze, a serious breeze, when you are using the CO2, it will not be effective, because there will be breeze everywhere, and you are using breeze to fight breeze, so you already have a problem. Are you getting it? So CO2 is more effective inside the room in indoor fire. DCP is effective anywhere, but because of the health hazard, it is not advisable for you to use DCP, so that not at the end of the day, when you have been able to fight the fire, you'll be dealing with the health issue of your children, your own health issue. That is the most important one to use. Muster point is the nearest place of safety where people can gather. There must be a strategy, there must be a location where your muster point must be. It must not be far from the building. At the same time, it must not be too close to the building. Why? When you have 3-story building and you have your muster point immediately outside, then you are endangering the life of the occupant, because during the fire break, they'll be able to run out. When they are outside, they are satisfied that they are safe. But there is fire, there is still fire in the building. At the end of the day, the building can collapse and still capture them. No, muster point must be placed in the distance twice the height of the building. That is why the engineer must come in. If you want to put up a structure, if you want to erect your building, that is the difference between the learned and the literate. Look for a competent engineer. Don't say manage that college, otherwise you waste your money. Look for a competent engineer. There are some materials that you can't even understand. The mixture of the cement, the iron material, and the location of some things where you locate your kitchen, your toilet, most especially your exit door and the door you use to gain entrance into the building. It is very, very important. That is why you need to involve an engineer. That is my advice for you. Appropriate extinguisher to use in a building. Appropriate extinguishers to use in a building. You must have DCP inside the rooms. You must have DCP outside the rooms. You must have CO2 inside the rooms. You must have fire alarm. Fire alarm. It is not possible for you to be in everywhere at the same time. If you have 5 rooms, you cannot be in everywhere at the same time. Fire alarm, smoke alarm, or heat detector. They will alert you. They will let you know if there is problem. The heat detector, when there is rise in temperature, it will sound an alarm. The smoke detector, when there is smoke, it will give you an alarm. And so on and so forth. There are gadgets you can have. In the kitchen, you must have what we call fire blankets. Fire blankets in the kitchen. And CO2 type of extinguisher in the kitchen. In your garage, you must have DCP in your garage. Those are the things that are very, very important to have in your building. And how do you make use of a fire blanket? You use the fire blanket to cover, supposing you are frying something in the kitchen, you are frying egg or food. You know there are some food, the Chinese food. I've seen a scenario whereby they said what they are cooking is over 200,000 naira. Just a small pot. If that thing catches fire now and they use DCP to put it off, the food is going to lose. But if it is CO2 that you use, it's just a matter of 1 minute, 2 minutes, everything vanishes and the food is still edible. You can still make use of the food. You can see the advantage there. And if you have fire blanket, just use it to cover it. Please note, when your gas catches fire, don't put water. Don't just say, okay, this gas is not fire blanket in to cover. No. You must cut out the source first if it is possible for you to do so. Now, always tell people not to put gas cylinders in the kitchen, inside the kitchen. Put it outside the kitchen. It will allow you, it will make it easy for you to cut it out. If you put your gas cylinder inside the kitchen and there is fire in the kitchen, how do you gain access to that kitchen? You can see now. That is why it is always advisable to put it outside the kitchen if it is possible. No, these things, we just need to follow the standard. Camp gas. Now, if you are using camp gas, make sure all these mamas sit down where you are using it. When you have to use it, sit down there. Don't use your gas cylinder and be watching television. Don't say, okay, it's a 1 minute, if you take 30 minutes, let me go and continue and read so that I'm watching. See, it's just 3 minutes before it gets out of hand. You think you have effective fire service? They play. You think you have effective fire service because you saw them walking beside you just now? Before they get back to their office, do you know what they encounter? Do you know what is happening? Your safety is in your hand. Your safety is in your hand. Whenever you want to cook, please let's be used to it. Sit down and be watching it. If there is any issue, you can fight it. Just 3 minutes is what you have to do whatever you want to do. After 3 minutes, it gets beyond your own capacity. Meaning of fire. I don't know if you want me to define it or maybe.
No. You mentioned of say something about it.
Okay, feel my presence at F. Feel my presence around you always. I inquire to know more about me. I inquire to know more about me. Inquire to know. I feel. Okay, it's on the laptop. Okay, I'll check it.
Thank you, sir.
So, and how does water burn? How does water burn? Somebody asked a question. Yes. Like, how does water burn? Now, I said everything can be consumed by fire. That it depends on the degree at which substance A can be consumed by fire. It differs from the degree at which substance B can be consumed by fire. As a case study, a cup of water, put it inside your pot, place it on the stove, use your thermometer to gauge it. At 100 degrees centigrade, it begins to reduce. Let it continue. At the end of the day, you won't see anything there. So anything that can change form from one form, that can change state from one form to another, can be consumed by fire. So water can burn, water will vanish, no matter how big the water is, water will vanish if there is persistent heat that is supplied to it. Alternative to using Omo or detergent. Now, I've said it, alternative to use Omo or detergent. Somebody told me that there was a fire outbreak sometimes in his own vehicle. He was able to use coke to fight the fire. That from that time he stopped putting fire extinguisher in the vehicle. Then he's making use of coke at any point in time. There is no chemical that can fight fire in the coke. But coke is liquid. One, coke contains carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide can fight fire. Liquid can fight fire. But coke is not appropriate to fight fire. But if coke is the only thing you have in your vehicle, any liquid, use it to fight fire. But coke is not effective for fighting fire. Omo is not effective for fighting fire. Detergent is not effective for fighting fire. Some people have been using detergent to fight fire. The only thing that is working there is water. And if it is fire in large volume, the Omo will even help the fire to continue burning, because it can be categorized under combustibles. The Omo can still assist in burning. So those are the.
Thank you, sir.
I'll check the FRSC and tell you now.
Sir, finally, sir, there is a question I would like to ask. I know in some cases, you do read in filling stations and gas plant that you not use cell phone when you're selling phones. So we want to know why and what can that one cause times of fire. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our cell phone, our handset contains a wireless cable that connects your phone to the network mast. You know, all those masts and your handset, they have a kind of connection. The connections are invisible. You cannot see it with your naked eye, but it's existing. We call it wireless cable. It is in actual sense called electromagnetic radiation. It is like a wave that connects your phone to the network cable. That electromagnetic radiation, when it comes in contact with your gas fumes, you know, the gas fumes itself, we call it ategun, abi, and the Yoruba people say ategun fi seun in those days, not now. It is air. The air and the electromagnetic wave, when it comes in contact, it negates each other, it brings out heat. It's just as if you are putting positive wire and negative wire, you are joining it together. And these are the things that are invisible. You cannot see it with your naked eye. So when you are in the filling station or in gas station, you are making use of your phone. At that particular point in time, if the gas fuse comes out with full force, fire will come out. These are the things you cannot see with your naked eye, but it is real. That is why we say, do not put your phone. Put your phone, put it off when you are in gas station. And let me say this. Some people, when they are sleeping, they are used to putting their phone on the bed beside them. It is wrong. You are just damaging. Because the Yoruba people say, Shango Kija no do ojo kankan loluwere pani. You are forcing havoc to your system, little by little. Brain cancer. Our women, when they are cooking in the kitchen, they will use their phone. They will use it to rap and they will be enjoying themselves. At the end of the day, they have what we call brain tumor or brain cancer. Some people are used to putting their phone in their chest, put it in the chest pocket. That okay, no problem, nothing will happen. Something will happen. Chest cancer is there. That is the result of putting your phone in your chest. Some people who are men, they put the phone in the pocket. It will make you to not be performing well. They say low sperm count. Our ladies in the school, when they are using iPhone 13, for people to know that they are using iPhone 13, they put it in their pocket. And that camera side will come out. They are damaging their systems. So if you put it on the bed, they said no liberty. The appropriate place to put your phone is your hand. That is why they call it handset. So in the kitchen, please, we have seen it too. It's not stories, it's in the Facebook. When you place your phone beside your gas, if a phone call is coming at that particular point in time, and there is leakage, there is gas leakage, if they come in contact, it will be explosion. An explosion. Nobody, see, as little as gas cylinder is, 1 kg, if it explodes, the person beside it will not be able to live to tell the story, because 1 kg can break a person into pieces. 1 kg can bring down a building. Just 1 kg. Not to talk of 6 kg, not to talk of 10 kg, and so on and so forth. And charging your phone, put it in fire, plugging it, go and sleep. At the end of the day, the battery will continue to expand. Over time, it may not be immediately. Over time, I'm talking about maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. Over time, when the battery begins to expand, it will explode. And if it explodes, it is explosion. And the person will not be able to live to tell the story. So have I answered that question?
Yes. Thank you, sir. I think we are all satisfied. Please, one house, please. I believe we are all satisfied with all the answers to all our questions. Without taking too much of time, permit me, sir, to invite Route Commander MS Busari for the vote of the charges. Thank you.
So the FIRE, you want to write it? Fire. Full meaning of fire. Feel my presence around you always. F. Feel my presence around you always. I. Inquire to know the risk I can offer. Inquire to know the risk I can offer. R. Reason and think of the after effects. R. Reason and think of the after effects. E. Educate your family to be conscious of you.
This, the unit commander, sir. I am Route Commander MS Busari. Sir, for the past 1 hour 15 minutes, we have listened attentively to a topic titled Fire Safety, Protection, Emergencies and Procedure. this topic was genuinely and professionally explored by the Chief Fire Marshal Superintendent Awoyemi Abayomi Oluwase, zonal commander for fire service group. On behalf of the unit's commander, Assistant Corps Commander Solomon S. Adenumola, PSC Gaga MNIM. The topic has brought our knowledge to the meaning of the fire as a process of burning and combination of the heat, oxygen, and fuel. We also know that fire can be our friend if properly managed. Otherwise, it's our enemy if not properly managed. Fire is also a God creation, and there are some methods in which you can use to put up the fire by cooling, smoothing, and starvation. It's also explored that we have various classification of fire being classified by A, B, C, D, E. All these are to be quenched by some devices that have been appropriately applied to it. And finally, fire is Mr. Menga. Sir, on behalf of the unit commander and the entire staff of RS 11.31 Ogbomoso Unit Command, we sincerely appreciate your service, and it is our hope that when next your service is required, we are going to oblige us. More grace for your help, and wish you well in your future endeavor. Thank you, and God bless you all. Atama, Atama, Tabako, Abalina. Please.